Yeah, I think he knows it starts at 5, but I don't, he maybe just running late.
Marsh, you can ignore that text I'm sending you, Mark. Marshall, do you have the notice?
Yes.
Mayor, your screen is frozen.
Yeah, hold on here. I can pull out of that. Marshall, do you have the notice?
Yeah, I'll share that. See if I can find it. Yeah, it didn't. This is the one that we sent out for the 5:30. We sent out a revised one for 5, but
So, Marshall, do you want to explain what y'all been texting about?
yeah, John Bradley let me know just a little while ago that the notice that we posted failed to mention the topics that would be discussed as it normally does, and I can't remember why we didn't put those in there, but for whatever reason it didn't have that. And John mentioned that because the notice didn't have the topics to be discussed, that no action could be taken on those items. Um, and again, I don't know the illegalities of that, but he said that because the notice didn't have the original, it didn't have those topics, that we wouldn't be able to vote on any, or the committee wouldn't be able to vote on any legislation. Obviously, I think we can discuss it. I don't think that was the problem. He says we couldn't couldn't vote on anything. Um, and so I think we're certainly able to discuss it and ask questions, answer questions, but we couldn't vote on anything.
Marshall, this was actually so what I'm looking at that you're sharing actually came from Nicole. Am I correct about that?
Yes, it did.
Did the one that went out from Erica have any sort of agenda on it?
I don't know. Let me go back and let me see if I can find that one.
I'll look as well while we're discussing.
Let's see.
So here's sort of the good news about that is one of the things that the committee was going to talk about was the cell phone RFPs or RFQs. The committee and the board don't actually have to take action to do that. Marshall can do that. And when it comes back, then it can come back to the committee, and then we can choose a company to do it. But yeah, Marshall and every department for that matter handle RFPs and RFQs on a regular basis without committee signing off on the actual wording of it. But then they come back when we get bids or the qualifications.
I don't see a notice from Erica, Mayor. I think it may have been only from Nicole.
Okay. Mark said he's had to reboot his computer. Hey, Marshall, help me understand too, is that I think that the committee sort of made a decision about the cell phone agreements at the last meeting with a contingency. Do you remember what that was?
I think there was some discussion from the committee, and I've had an alderman reach out about having a public meeting to discuss that very topic.
Okay.
Miss Dixon has reached out to me about that, and I think she would like to have a town hall type format, maybe just to discuss that.
Okay.
Obviously, we haven't scheduled anything yet, but she reached out to me several days ago, and I would like to satisfy her request and have a meeting if the committee so chooses.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
You're good?
Yes.
I don't know why it wouldn't boot. It wouldn't like, it was so strange why it just wouldn't do what it normally, I don't know, but I'm here. So that's what matters. There's been some mention about a voting matter. We don't have to, what all is scheduled to meet, that we were scheduled to vote on, Marshall?
Really, just one topic was the paving, the appropriation ordinance for supplemental paving. There was a desire by Alderman Hayes and Alderman Robertson to appropriate additional funds in this year's paving budget. And
all right. So did John say we couldn't even speak about that?
no, we can talk about it. We can talk about it, but we just can't vote on any legislation.
Okay. Because what we can do, our meeting is scheduled for our board of aldermen. Is that scheduled to be on the agenda? Are we scheduled to vote on anything for supplemental paving at all Tuesday night?
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, this is Eddie, Mark. No, I don't think it'll be ready by Tuesday, but I would like to put it on the agenda for the following meeting.
Well, I have no objection at all, because what we could do, a couple of things. I hate to come in here and I apologize to everybody. I'll take responsibility for it. I should have read this, but there's been so much going on here with the flooding going on, and other other alderman issues that I've been having to deal with. I did not look. I should have, as a responsible person, and I was not responsible for it. I should have looked at the special committee meeting and see what it said, and I just didn't do it. And I'll take responsibility for it. That's my fault, and I apologize to y'all, and I apologize to you, Mayor, and I apologize to the alderman. It won't ever happen again. I can assure you of that. But what we can do is, if it's okay, I would like to hear that, Eddie. I'd like to hear y'all's proposal, and then on Tuesday when we, which is, I guess, it's next Tuesday we meet, right? It's not that silly,
That's correct.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
There's one meeting where we don't meet on Tuesday, and I don't have my calendar in front of me. I apologize for that. It's weird how my computer messed up. I mean, I can see you guys, but it's not doing well. And I usually have my calendar over here on the side of my computer, and it's just not coming up. So anyway,
Well,
let's go ahead and talk to that. So Eddie, let's go ahead, because what we can do is we can have a meeting before the Tuesday night's meeting and let the aldermen know what we're doing, what's been done. And we can vote, in public works like that.
Okay, but first of all, I do not believe we have a meeting Tuesday night. That's the first Tuesday
See, that's what I thought. Okay.
of the month. Is that right, Paul?
The first one was the 13th.
So there's a BOMA on the 13th. The next regular scheduled public works is April the 27th.
Okay,
Right.
All right, what we'll do is, so we do have, all right, let me back up, because I'm trying to get everything focused here, or for me, in my head. Now, on April 13th, we do have a meeting, is that right?
But there's a BOMA.
BOMA.
Public safety in general are scheduled for the 13th.
And then we're on the 27th. Okay.
Correct.
All
Reg-
right,
Regular schedule.
okay. If we need to, and it'll be up to the committee to decide whether we need to have a scheduled meeting on the 13th. It's so weird. That's my birthday. That's so weird. Let's just talk about what we want to do. After we listen to Eddie's proposal, because I think that's very, very important. We do not have to vote on it tonight. We will not vote on it because we can't. But
Mr. Chairman, can I ask
Yeah.
you a question?
you sure can.
What's the special call meeting tonight about?
Well, to listen to Eddie's proposal and he
Proposal
has
on what? On what,
well,
sir?
he's going to tell us. We don't really know.
The reason I'm asking, if it's something I'm interested in, I'll stay, but if not, I've got something I need to do.
I
So
don't-
that's, I ask you the question.
Yes, sir. Well, Eddie, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? And Alderman
Okay.
Waters, if you don't feel like you need to do, just escape. Just go ahead and head out.
I'll do it. That's the reason I ask you the question, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's a good question.
Thank you, Chairman Skidmore.
Yes.
As everyone knows, about a month and a half ago or a month ago, the mayor proposed an additional allotment for paving, supplemental paving for this fiscal year. That was voted down 7-6. I believe it was 7-6, the vote. Since then, we have received more information from Robert, our finance department, and it appears to me that that we're going to have sufficient money, the ending balance of the fiscal year, that we can allocate some additional money to paving. So this resolution that I'm bringing, and Alderman Hayes is also co-sponsoring, and anybody else that would like to co-sponsor, the more the merrier, is it's going to have two components, committee. First, it's going to have option A and option B. Option A will be to spend $500,000 additional dollars this fiscal year for paving. Option B will be to spend an additional $1 million on paving this year. And Marshall has assured me that if we allocate either the 500 or the $1 million, that the Rogers Group and Public Works can get that money in before the fiscal year, can spend the money. So what this would do, this ordinance also will outline the streets that will be paved with the $500,000 and with an additional $1 million. That way we can see what we're getting for our dollar. We're not going to be buying a pig in a poke. So we'll know what we're going to get if we vote on it. So Sarah and Marshall and Trace has come up with a list, and we can send that out later. I've got just a little adjustment that I want to do, but the good news on the $500,000, every ward is going to get some additional paving this fiscal year. With the $1 million, we're going to get even more additional paving. And the beauty that this resolution is that it moves all of the lists that Public Works sent out about a couple of weeks ago. It moves everything up depending on the funding from the board. So I am hoping that we can move forward on this ordinance, and you know, maybe because the fiscal year is coming to an end, maybe Chairman, I would maybe like to have a special call short meeting after everybody sees the ordinance, the wording of the ordinance, and the streets that are going to be paved, to have a special meeting just to see if Public Works would give this a yes, a pass on to the board. So again, this is an ordinance that you'll be getting, and I think that we have sufficient monies to do it. And just, if I may, Robert, are you on the phone? Are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question, and I haven't talked to you today about it, but with an additional $500,000 or $1 million for supplemental paving, how will that leave our general fund at the end of the fiscal year? Do you have a projection? I know it's all projections.
Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Didn't want to blow your speakers out.
It's okay. It's all right.
So right now we're projecting around 5.1 to 5.2 million in an unassigned fund balance at the end of this fiscal year. So depending on which you choose, looks around 4.6 to $4 million is what that would leave us at the end of this fiscal year.
Let me ask you, because I've read what the comptroller, the advice that he has given us on our budget process. Do you think that that this would still that he would accept the fund balance at a reduced amount if we had put additional money into paving? Would that still fit into their recommendation that we move forward to having a healthy fund balance at the end of the year?
If I hear you correctly, I think it's kind of two pronged there. The comptroller is only going to require that we have a fund balance. I don't think he's going to require us to have a certain number. However, that's really going to be based upon our projections for next year. We've already kind of set the projections for this year. And so what we're submitting as a budget, if we're projecting to go below the what we pass, hopefully, as a fund balance, then that's where the comptroller is going to advise us. But I don't know that he's going to say anything about this fiscal year unless we were to be dangerously low, if that makes sense. I hope that wasn't making things muddier.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, when we did our budgets, what did we anticipate the end of the year fund balance to be when we did the budget last July? What did we project?
It's a good question. Give me one moment. We were projecting around 3.6 million to be the unassigned fund balance at the end of this year.
Okay, so even with the spending, either the 500,000 or $1 million, we're going to have more of a fund balance than we projected in our budget for this year.
That's correct. That's generally the case, just based on spend patterns.
Okay, so that's all that I have for Robert. So I guess, Chairman, the reason that I think this is a good fiscally sound ordinance is that either spending $500,000 or $1 million for additional paving, we will still have more in the end of the year fund balance than we budgeted for. And so I think that, based on what I'm hearing in Ward 6, the people want more money for paving. And I think that this is a reasonable approach to move us a little further down the line toward meeting some of our paving and infrastructure needs in the city. So I know we can't vote, and I see Alderman Hayes on the line as well. He's had some discussions on this, I believe. So I've just given them a summary, Alderman Hayes, of the ordinance.
Yes,
and
sir.
I don't know if you'd like to say anything.
I would. Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate it. Just three things. First, man, God has blessed us to still have potentially 5.1 based on, I guess, sales tax and property taxes, but that's really good news compared to what Robert just told us. We were projecting 3.6. So that makes me feel even that much better about coming forward, asking for at least $500,000 and maybe even $1 million. But the other thing I wanted to say is I was one of those that voted against it. But I can tell you that I sweat a lot of bullets before I voted because I just know how badly we need paving. And I know how much people want to see us do the paving. And one thing related to that is, come July 1, if we've still got some of that money of let's say we voted for $1 million to be added to it, but not all of it got spent. Well, we still, starting July 1, we still need the money in paving. So it's not like we're wasting that money. It's more about how we're earmarking the money. I'm a save guy. I like to have very little or no debt. And I like also the whole idea of having an emergency fund or a rainy day fund. And that was the primary reason that I voted as I did a month or so ago. But because of how well our end fund balance looks to be doing, and because of listening to the constituents saying, Jonathan, I'd rather my government put more into paving than into savings, I am leaning towards, at a minimum, the $500,000. So that's the main things I wanted to add. And I appreciate y'all giving me a moment to share.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think that completes our summary of what we intend to file. We're available to answer any questions, and Marshall also can answer them if you have any. So we're available for any questions.
Got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Alderman Waters.
This may be for Robert or Marshall, either one. As I read the report here, our balance is what, $3,699,000, Robert, as of now?
I'm sorry. 3.6. I'm not sure where that number came from. It's 3.6 is what the budgeted figure was.
I'm just reading the figures here. 3.699. So we're close, right?
I'm confused by the question. 3.6 is what the budget.
It says the current budget project and the general fund ending balance will be 3.699 or 6.7% of expenditures. Am I right?
If we spend every dollar, that's correct, but we're not projected to do that.
Okay. We spent every bit of it. Are they real strict on this? I see they keep saying 6 million. Can we get by with less than that?
I don't know about 6 million, but the recommendation is 2 months worth of operational expenditures. Generally speaking, we spend anywhere from 3.5 to around 4 million in a given month on operational. So that's somewhere between $7 and $8 million is kind of the recommendation there.
What is the amount? You said twice the amount. What was you referring to? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So the recommendation is for 2 months of operational expenditures to kind of keep things going. So that would be somewhere between $7 and $8 million, depending on what we've budgeted.
That's what they would like for us to do, right?
Correct.
But we're not doing that. What is the best fund balance we've had since you've been on board?
Ooh, good. That's a great question. If you'll give me one moment, I can try to pull that up for you.
Alderman Waters, you're asking some hard questions, brother.
Thank you there, Mark. Thank you, brother.
So I've seen 2 fund balances and $4 million and $46,000 was around the end of 2019.
That was our best, right?
The highest that we've seen, that I've seen at least.
Okay. But I want to be sure, and God knows, I agree with my cohort in Ward 6. Paving is the #1 issue over here. But, I want to be sensible about this thing.
Yeah.
Now, Alderman Robertson, I think you said, did you agree on the 500,000 or the 1 million in your statement?
Well, I'm putting that option out, but probably at the board, I will move to allocate an additional million.
Pardon?
I would move to allocate $1 million, but I want to leave 2 options in the ordinance for the board to decide. In other words, I'd rather get $500,000 than nothing for additional paving.
Can you share the options you're referring to?
Yeah, one option would be $500,000 for supplemental paving.
Okay.
And that would allow paving in every ward. And then $1 million would be option B, and that would allow even more paving in each ward.
Okay, let me ask Marshall, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I don't say we, I say if your committee votes on this, it goes to Beaumont and we pass it, is that going to affect the plan that we've already got out and I've sent out and I've already got feedback on the 3 months and the 6 months?
Right. What it would affect is the 3-year plan that we sent out. We would take roads. We're taking roads from that list and moving them ahead to be paved. So we would add new roads on the back end. So like, for example, if we decided to pave with $1 million in this fiscal year, then we just would add another $1 million at the end of the 3-year period for new roads. So we just would pave more roads. Is that
your dog, Marshall?
Do what now?
Thought I heard your dog barking when you said that.
I don't know. Sorry.
But to answer my question, and I know I'm gonna get feedback from it, but I want to be prepared. Are you telling me if the board approves the 1 million, which I hope we can, that's just me talking now. If we can approve that, and I think Alderman Robinson just said it's going to be more paving for these same people that we got here on this list now, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Marshall?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. We just would do, I mean, as I mentioned before, we just would do more paving in each of the wards.
We can move the 6 months plan up to 3 months probably.
That's correct.
That's what I want to hear you say.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I stuck around here. I love this. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And again, as we have said since day one of this, our list is subject to change. And here's a good example. This last rain we had in our city, and believe you me, it was wild. I mean, we hadn't had one this bad in quite some time here in Hendersonville. And I'm waiting to see now how our roads will materialize in the reality of it. So there'll be some roads that, and I'm not saying that it will at this point, but there are some that will change on that list. So they'll have to be, unless you want to go out there to that particular road that's damaged more than others and say, no, we already made a list up, so we're not doing that. We're not doing your road. And
Mr. Chairman, let me inject, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't want to be hog of the show, but
that's all right.
Are we talking about potholes? Or are we talking about complete paving? And there's two things. And
yes, sir, there is.
We got potholes coming out our ears over here in the Alexander place. But are you saying potholes? Or are you talking about paving the whole street?
I'm talking about paving at this point. Now, potholes, as far as I'm concerned, our public works department is out filling these things up left and right. So is that right, Marshall? Aren't they out? They're out filling them up as fast as they can.
You're right.
But I'm talking about our paving list that we have now.
Yes, sir. I agree. I see. Okay.
And so, but no, our potholes, they're trying to fill them as fast as they can.
Okay.
Because we've got potholes all over the place in Hendersonville. I mean, that's a standard.
Well, that's true. I mean, this rain was terrible, but and I want to make sure I understand what your committee is going to do, because we're going to get calls, but I like what I'm hearing. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And if you have any other further questions about it, you always can call us and we'll explain it again. Or because if you're like me, sometimes when I'm at that Board of Aldermen and I hear something, I'll go, now what? I'm just going to call you tomorrow and you can kind of give it to me because I'm missing the boat. Okay. And so you can always so you can always call us and we'll be more than happy to go back over it. But that goes for anybody.
I just appreciate the work you guys are doing on your committee. And if I ask too many questions, I apologize.
No, you're not. And Jonathan, back before I get back with Eddie, I want to thank you for sponsoring, help sponsoring this ordinance for us.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. That night when we voted on that, I listened to everything you said, and I know this is close, near and dear to your heart. So I appreciate it. I do have one question related to that, though. That night,
Yes,
do
sir.
you all recall that it was a close vote, and that
Yes, sir.
a majority of those who said not at this time also agreed that if we could get the paving done, that all you have to do is come back and ask for it. So to me, that's what we're doing right now. We're going ahead and trying to get our ducks in a row to go ahead and ask for at least $500,000 ahead of time. So with that in mind, Marshall, do you feel confident that you could spend and we could pave another $1 million on top of what's left in there right now? Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I heard you say that earlier. I just want to confirm.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm excited about doing this, and I appreciate Alderman Robertson bringing this to my attention, giving me an opportunity to sign up.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're on board with us. And Eddie, once again, my man, you come through with us on this ordinance. You and Jonathan and whomever else wants to, be a sponsor on it. But I mean, you all are the ones that created it. I'm not going to rain on your parade by any means or jump on the on the bandwagon. You guys did this. So, as far as I'm concerned, it should be you and Jonathan solely on it. But that's just my opinion of it. But
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to co-sponsor with my cohort and John.
sure. All right. That sounds good. Yeah. Just let Eddie know what you're going to do now. Eddie, let me ask you a quick question on this. Are you going to or send us an email with the ordinance as it is? I mean, with what you want to do and everything?
Yes, once Jonathan and I share the draft that Marshall put out, then I will get either Erica or John Bradley to send that out, so there's no violation of the sunshine. So it will go out. It will go out hopefully tomorrow to the board. But Chairman, am I right that not only it has to go first to Public Works, it also has to go to Budget Committee? Is that right?
Well, okay. Of the $500,000, where is it coming from? The $500,000
from the general fund.
Well, it wouldn't have to go to. We can ask the mayor that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it has to go to the budget. Just it goes to the mayor.
The requirement is that every ordinance and resolution go to at least one committee. It's certainly the sponsor's prerogative. They want to take it to a second committee and try to get some sort of buy-in before it goes to the board, but it's not required to. Once it's been on the agenda of one committee, our rules allow it to come to the board within 2 weeks. And as we know, the board can even waive that.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's just going to be straight out of the general fund is where it's coming.
By the way, guys, I've got to run. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Have a good evening. Well, the good thing is, as far as my location change and all that on here, we wouldn't have been able to vote anyway tonight because we need to let everybody look at the street. So I feel a little better now, but the discussion is really good discussion on this. What we'll have to do is look at the streets and name those, I guess, or be site specific to see where the $500,000 in supplemental is going to go. And let us take a look at it. We'll schedule a special call meeting if everybody's in agreement on the 13th of April. We'll probably say it about, I don't know, Eddie, Marshall, you might want to look to see of the three committees what time those are meeting, and maybe we can meet maybe for 30 minutes or 15 minutes just to get a vote.
Mr. Chairman, on the 13th is 6, 6:30, and 7.
Okay, we could meet at 5:30. If it's okay with everybody, because I don't think there's going to be very much discussion in terms of, because we've got an idea since we met tonight on what we've got to do, what we're doing. Any objection or comment about it? I think it'll be fairly self-sufficient.
Good with me.
Okay, good. Well, that's what we'll do. And then the other thing, is there any other discussion on that?
Just one other question.
Yes, sir.
Not related to the time of the meeting, but going back to the paving, there's no such thing as a great deal. If we spent $1 million instead of an additional 500,000 with Rogers Group, they don't give us 2 + 1 plus an extra $1, do they? I mean, is there any?
Oh, that's good.
You know what I'm saying? When you double your volume, I'm sure that's Marshall could tell us, and I'm sure they already give us a great price. But
that's a good question, valid question. We get pretty good pricing from Rogers Group. We have contract prices that we renew every year that stay the same, and just all of it depends on the price of oil. But we have good prices from Rogers Group, but there's no volume discount.
One reason I asked that is one of my constituents just mentioned, Jonathan, I see a lot of times you'll do just a portion of Saundersville Road, and then later, a month later, you do another portion. And it just seems like bringing the equipment out, setting it up, taking it back down. If you had more money going into that road, it might,
Well, one example we did in the last year or two was Indian Lake, and obviously there were different portions of that road that were built at different times. But using your example, we decided it would be best just to do it all at one time to make it a more rideable, a smooth surface. But no, we try to, staff looks at that when we evaluate roads, and we try to make those decisions that make the most sense when it comes to where we pave.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something else happened, Jonathan. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does. I mean, you pray it never happens, but it does. They'll start working on a road, and then they'll notice a pipe is busted, or they need some replacement on drainage, drainage materials.
Yeah.
And then they have to stop because it needs to be replaced, because it's a waste of time if they don't replace it. And those drains and things have to be replaced periodically. And sometimes that happens too, and they'll have to stop it, and they'll come back and finish it. A really good example of that is Donna Drive. We had a lot of issues with Donna Drive. We paved about maybe a third of it last year.
Yeah. We
had to stop it because they just had every time it rained, even if it was a couple of drops, the water would be coming out of nowhere.
Okay.
So that's completed now. That work's completed, and so now they're going to go back and finish it. So a lot of times, there's always, there's things like that happen, and they have to get it corrected.
Last but not least, I just thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank, I saw Sarah was on here, Ms. Locke and Marshall. Thank you I know this takes a lot to put all these lists together. You saw in the newspaper today that all of your work, a lot of that work was published in there in terms of the 3, 6, 9 month, et cetera, 18. Just thank you all for all you're doing to spin all the different plates, everything from potholes to trash but especially paving. Thank you.
Well, we try to help. I mean, we do our work, so, and I appreciate you extending your gratitude to us, and we do appreciate it. So now, since we don't have any more on paving until 5:30 on the 13th, and we'll make sure, and I'll assure you that our everything is ready and completed on that to be listed, and then we'll meet for about 15 or 20 minutes and get that worked out. How's our network or whatever we're doing on the Eddie that you were doing on the
cell tower.
Yes, the tower, the cell tower.
Yeah, even though we can't vote on it tonight, Marshall may have us a report, but I think Public Works is ready to issue the RFP. I know that I talked to Alderman Brown and Alderman Dixon, and they would like to have a public meeting in Ward 4.
Sure.
Marshall, my question is, what's the sequence? Can we go ahead and do the RFP and then do the public meeting, or what do you recommend the sequence of those two events?
I think we could run both concurrently. I don't know that, we couldn't do one without the other. We could go ahead and advertise the notice for the public meeting, to be held at City Hall, and also we could advertise the RFP for the cell tower.
So let me ask you, after we do an RFP and get bids in, we're not obligated to accept one of those bids, are we?
No, we're not. We could,
So if we conduct a public meeting and there's just an insurrection over this in Ward 4, we don't have to move forward. But if the public is convinced that this is in the public interest, we'll already have the RFP and we can move forward.
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
Now,
All right.
Alderman Dixon mentioned to me that that there's a possibility of putting a tower at Beatty Farms. Have you heard anything about that?
I don't know. I have not heard that. I seem to remember that being outside the area that the tower needed to be in, but I could be wrong about that. I was thinking the area where the fire hall and the school, that was the kind of the key location of where coverage was needed. But I could be mistaken about that. But I seem to think that was location. But the Beatty Farm, I think, was outside the kind of the outside the area. But,
let me ask you, if Marshall, if the tower for some unforeseen reason collapsed, if we built it at the fire hall and the tower collapsed and damaged our building, who would be liable for repair of the building?
the cell tower company would, but they would provide, that's something they would have to provide us, is the collapse zone of the tower. I think they've engineered that in such a way to where it has a very small collapse zone. So it essentially, even though it may be, 200 feet tall, that collapse zone, it'll fall in on itself and it won't just fall over in one piece, if that makes sense. I think they can engineer that to fall in a certain way to where it doesn't affect the buildings around it.
So Chairman Skidmore, I would recommend that we move forward with the RFP and organizing a community meeting, maybe out at the school in Ward 4, and work with Alderman Brown and Dixon, Marshall, on coordinating that and run those concurrently, those two items concurrently.
All right, that sounds good. What we'll do, we'll go back over this again on Tuesday. But in the meantime, we'll need to get together with Alderman Dixon and Alderman Brown to see when they want to have it. Because I'm wide open, obviously, now. And so we'll get with them and see when they want us to have an open meeting, because we can certainly have it anywhere they want it. I would suggest we just have the open meeting at City Hall. Be honest with you. So does anybody know whether Mayor Anthony Holt, did he come out with a new edict for this county today? Do you know? Because everything shuts, there's no mask or no anything as of, I guess, the 1st of April. Isn't that right?
No, it goes through the end of April.
That's correct. End of April.
The end of, thank you, Paul. How could I forget you? You were in here with us.
No
okay, so it goes through the end of April. All right. Well,
that's my understanding.
Okay. No, I'm glad. I'm glad that you told me that, because I thought it was the 1st of April, but that's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, yeah, we'll get with them and get that. We'll get that going then, and we'll be ready to go. So you know what Marshall, you know what you're ready to do, what you need to do about the cell tower and the paving.
Yes, yes, sir.
We'll schedule a meeting for the 13th of April, say what,
5:30.
5:30, and we'll get that thing out. Well, let's see, tomorrow, either we'll just put it out tomorrow for sure, or Monday, whatever you have time for, as long as it meets the 24-hour, and I'll look at it and make sure that it looks correct, where we won't have this mess up again.
I'll request it be Monday, since tomorrow's a holiday for City Hall.
Oh, that's right. It's Good Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, our day never ceases.
That's
So
right.
it's just, you know
That's
what I
right.
mean? So I don't, holiday, I don't even know what that means. Trust me. So, but I'm getting used to it. So, but anyway, okay. Is there anything else that we had on this agenda?
That's it.
I think those were the two things.
Yeah.
Any other discussion at all of what's going on? I hope Jonathan's still here, because I do want to tell the aldermen that are here, I really appreciate the effort. I talked to some of the aldermen who were named nameless on this one, but they said, Skid, I didn't even have any calls on this rain. But I want to tell you, I mean, I had calls like at 2 a.m, and which is okay with me. I'm used to things like that. But when that rain came, I was like, Lord, don't put any more on us, you know? And, but I do want to thank everybody for, staying in contact. And if there was a real serious problem, getting in touch with the city. Our whole city did a remarkable job. And they really did. Yes, sir.
I see Director Andy Gilly has his hand up. I believe he may have a comment.
Oh, good. Okay. I didn't even see on my computer. I don't even have Andy. He's not even on here. I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. Andy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mr. Skidmore?
I'm doing real good. I saw you on TV the other night, and I got to say, you did a really fine job, man.
I appreciate that. It's been an interesting few days. Where all is good, though. We're going to get things cleaned up. I just wanted to let y'all know I spoke with Ken Verbal this afternoon.
Uh-huh.
I had seen an email going around about the cell tower going at the Beatty farm. I believe is a little in the email. There was a little misunderstanding. He had said he would bring it up at the Friends of Indian Lake board meeting on Monday night for discussion.
Okay.
But there's several things that they would have to do a lot of investigating about what could go up there in terms of what grants they have already applied for. The master plan already been through planning and BOMA. So I just want to make sure everybody's understood that he nor really any one person can't give permission for that, and it's still not our property up on the hill yet. But
okay.
So that I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that, because I know it's pretty time sensitive as far as picking a site. So
okay, Eddie, are you in under that impression and understanding?
The only thing I got an email from Alderman Dixon, and she mentioned it. I'm
Okay.
with Marshall. I think that it's out of the coverage zone where they need coverage. So I'm not sure that the Beatty property would even work. I don't think there's a rush on that. I think they really want to go in at the fire station in Ward 4.
I don't think anybody's necessarily opposed to it. I just know how time sensitive it is, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on what he had actually told Alderman Dixon.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, thank you, man. Hey, thank you for telling us that.
yes, sir. Glad to.
And then also, hey, Andy, I'm going to call you sometime next week, because I agree with you. I'm not sure where that water's coming from in the park.
Say that again.
I said, I agree with you. What you said on TV, that you weren't sure where the water is coming from with the park anymore. And I agree with that.
Yes, sir. It's all, I mean, I guess it's determined by the Corps. I mean, it's coming in from different places than it has in the past and doing different things to different locations. So I don't know if that's good or bad for us, but I would hate to be the person at the Corps that has to flip those switches that determine, you know, I don't know, to
I agree.
to flood
I
what
have
part of
some-
Nashville you're going to flood, you know?
Well, that's true. Yeah. But I'm going to give you a call next week and, or maybe drop by or something there at the park and just kind of tell you my feeling on it. And I think you'll probably agree with it, but it'll be just private talk.
Sounds good.
Okay, buddy. Well, all right. Anything else, Andy?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, buddy. You need us, call us. All right. Any other discussion on that? I'm glad he said something about the cell tower, about that issue. Because that would have been, I had not heard that on the farm, Betty Farm. So that's good that it's out of the zone. All right. If there's no, we've got about 3 minutes and that's it. So does anybody have anything else to say? I really appreciate y'all taking the time out tonight to come and get through these issues with us. Because now we're dead on now. We've got a plan. We've got the things that we've got to do to get it done. And I'll see you all on Tuesday on the 13th. And we'll, if there's anything else, always feel free to call us. And we are out of time. So I just need a motion.
So moved.
All right. And a second by,
Second.
and there's been a second. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. Been a motion. All in favor of adjournment, signify when I call your name. Alderman Roberson,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye.